Hey, what's up you guys? Plus Ultra James here, coming at you with another video. So this is going to be my first time doing one of these type of videos where I'm going to be talking about comics, and I'm going to be talking about a particular story. You know, you've probably seen this with other channels, you know, like Comics Explained, Comic Storian, you know, New Sage Comics, or I think he just goes by New Sage. But anyways, I'll be talking about comics just like those guys. I'll add in like a few details in here and there, but this is something I really wanted to do, and I am doing it. So what we're going to start off with is what has become one of my favorite stories recently is DC Comics DC DCeased, which is basically DCeased. You know, they kind of clever putting the DC and just making it DCeased. But anyways, the first issue, I like the title of the cover, is The End of Everything Starts Here. You know, this story is like, it's far along now, so if you want to catch up, you got, you know, some ways to go. Because the first story arc is DCeased, you know, that's the start of the story. Then they followed it up with DCeased Unkillables, and DCeased Unkillables was basically the story of events that were going on between the issues, I'm pretty sure. And it gives you the viewpoint from other, you get the perspective from some of the villains of what they were doing, and also some other heroes that you won't see in DCeased in the main story. And then they followed it up with DCeased Hope for the Future, and Hope for the Future, or I think it's Hope of the Future, I don't remember. But they followed up with that one. They followed up with that storyline, and that also takes place, I think, also between the issues as well. And you see that story from the perspective of Jimmy Olsen, you know, Superman's best friend, and then also I think you know, some other heroes as well, or I want to say just Black Adam, can't really remember, but yeah. And then they're on the story that we're on right now, which is Deceased Dead Planet, which I think they're on issue 5, and that story is awesome. Overall, this is the best superhero zombie story of all time, just calling it right now. You know, I know if you guys are, some of you are Marvel Zombies fans, good story, you know, it's kind of, but it's just not as good as DCeased. DCeased is just awesome. And this is written by Tom Taylor. If you're not familiar with Tom Taylor is the one who wrote the Injustice story comics, and those comics were amazing. If you have not read Injustice, you're doing yourself a disservice. Read it. Don't just play the games. The games are good. The game stories, the cinematic scenes you see, everything is good, but you gotta read the comics. There's so much that happens in the comics that is just awesome. But with that being said, let's get right into it. So DCeased issue number 1, The End of Everything Starts Here. I love the cover of it. It's focused on like Batman, and it's kind of like Batman fighting off some zombified Gotham Police Department SWAT team that become zombified. You know, I feel like I really love its cover. But I'll tell you why. You know, it's like slightly misleading, not really, but I'll say why by the end of this. But it starts off with, you know, someone narrating, and we get a close-up shot of Darkseid's face, and the narrator saying that my mother used to tell me there was no such thing as monsters. There's nothing hiding in the dark, nothing gonna jump out of the shadows. But by the time I was grown, I'd seen too many monsters. I knew they were real. It started with something like thunder. I don't know how else to describe it, because it was a sound no one had ever heard before. It was the sound of a Superman breaking the jaw of a god. And we get a shot of Superman breaking the jaw of Darkseid, giving him one solid shot to the face. And the narrator tells us that, you know, this is an invasion by Darkseid, and it's lasted a week, and this is like the final battle between him and the Justice League. And basically this is the end of their last fight, and Superman's telling him, you're gonna leave Earth now. And then also Batman chimes in saying, you're not gonna return. And you got Wonder Woman, who has the last sort of truth around his neck, telling him that it compels him. And then you got your Green Arrow making a joke saying, like, yeah, he probably would say something if Superman hadn't just broken his jaw. But what makes this interesting is that Darkseid just gets up like nothing happened, and he tells him, I'm not going to return, because the truth is, I got what I came for. And Green Arrow is just like, you know, I thought it was really going well, until that last ominous sentence. Then all of a sudden, Batman gets a notification, which I guess from the Bat cell phone, I'm assuming, and he lets the League know that Cyborg is missing. That he's like had him, he like keeps him monitored, basically, and this is where like some mistrust happens. We get a sense, Superman just basically goes like, "So were you tracking him?" And then even Flash chimes in like, "So you secretly hacked your friend? Are you tracking any of us, even Superman?" Batman pauses for a moment and he says, "No," which we know he's lying, because even Green Arrow chimes in and goes like, "Is anyone else concerned about that slight pause?" He basically, Batman's lying. He keeps track of all of them. You're talking about a guy who literally came up with a plan to take out each and every single member of the Justice League. Of course he has you tracked. Of course Batman knows what everyone's doing, whatever they're doing at all times, where they're at, So basically Wonder Woman asks him, leaving aside the morality, she asks him, is like Vic isn't on Earth? And he goes like that he has a 2 light year reach. Cyborg isn't even in the solar system. So like Flash is basically like, where is he? And then we jump to Apocalypse from there. So Cyborg was on Apocalypse, but he wasn't looking to conquer the Earth. We open up to DCeased, who's talking about the anti-life equation, and he's asking Cyborg, who he has like laid down on the table, and it looks like he has them stapled down to the table, like nailed down, which sucks for Cyborg. But he's like asking him, do you know of the anti-life equation? And Cyborg is like, no. So he gives him a little explanation here and gives us as the reader the explanation. It is the end of all free will. For the one who controls it is the domination of all sentient races. This is why this is Darkseid's like basically what he's always wanted. He's always wanted to have be able to like gain control of everyone. And that's why he's always sought out the anti-life equation, because it gives him that power and able to do that. But DCeased tells Cyborg, that he's already has the first half of the anti-life equation, and the reason why he was like waiting to attack Earth is because he was waiting for it to manifest the other half on Earth, and he found it. And then Cyborg asks him like, where is the other half? And basically Darkseid walks up and he says, it's in you. And he's holding a mother box that carries the first, that carries his half of the anti-life equation. And Cyborg makes a joke in this tense situation, basically saying, were you just waiting in the corridor to make a good entrance? And Darkseid basically then tells DCeased, remove his tongue. And that happens, which sucks for Cyborg. Now DCeased tells Darkseid, that if they merge the equation with Cyborg and it kills him, then the equation's going to cease to exist. And Darkseid, says that he puts the mother box on Cyborg's chest, starting the process, and says that he will summon Death. And Death basically is the Black Racer. Now, I don't know much about the Black Racer. Apparently he's like a new god who, when a god dies, he comes. That's as far as my knowledge goes when it comes to the Black Racer. If any of you know, having more information, let me know. But what they do is like they take a piece of Death, and add it into Cyborg, add it into the process. Then the equation shows up, and the narrator lets us know that it changed the equation, the process that they started, and caused corruption. So then we turn to see that Darkseid is tearing his own face apart. But it turns out DCeased is actually immune to the disease. We're not really given an explanation as to why, but he tries to sends Cyborg away. He's trying to stop what him and Darkseid unleashed, but it's already too late. Darkseid has become a slave to the anti-life equation. He kills the Black Racer. He then leaps out and jumps right into the fires of Apocalypse, into the world's core, and that is the end of Apocalypse. It is destroyed. So that's the end of Darkseid. That is the end of Apocalypse. We then pick up back to Cyborg popping back up in Metropolis, you know, his system, the narrator lets us know, you know, his system went back online as soon as he returned to Earth, and that put the anti-life equation that's within him online. So the the anti-life equation is a techno-organic virus, and it has spread to the internet. So it pops up on social media, it's all over, and everyone who sees it becomes infected. So everyone is just gonna start going nuts after this, man. They just start going nuts. They're tearing off their own faces like Darkseid did, and Cyborg is just looking like helpless, and everyone just starts to go crazy. They start attacking each other, and it's just all hell from here. We then pick up to where Superman is, and he's at the apartment of Scott Free and Big Barda. Now, if you're not familiar with these characters, Big Barda was basically like the head of Darkseid's elite strike force that was ran by and trained by Granny Goodness. You know, she was the head of it. And Scott Free is Mr. Miracle. Mr. Miracle is basically like the world's greatest escape artist. He was raised on Apocalypse. He's the son of Highfather from New Genesis. That's one of the main reasons why Superman has come to see them, was basically because Mr. Miracle can break in and break out of Apocalypse easily, you know, because he's familiar with it. He was raised there, and also Big Bart is his lover, so of course she's familiar with Apocalypse because she was raised there as well. She was part of the Furies, so they agreed to help him break in Apocalypse to save Cyborg. Then all of a sudden Superman hears something. They ask him what, and he says screaming. And then Superman flies immediately out of their apartment to go and see what's going on. And he finds the world is going straight to hell. He sees everyone who's been affected by the anti-life equation going nuts and going after people who haven't been affected, going to kill them. And he's just freaking out, you know, looking. And then all of a sudden he thinks about John and Lois. And then we pop up into their apartment. Lois is looking for her cell phone because it's buzzing, and we know that the anti-life equation is being sent to like every single internet connected device. You know, they're getting notifications on it. They're getting the anti-life equation. Then we see John and Damian are playing video games, and basically Damian makes like the comment to John because Lois is asking him where the cell phone is, and basically John asked Damian, you know, where it is, and Damian goes like, how would I know? And he goes like, you're like a super detective, Batman's son. You should be able to find the phone. And then Damian just replies back, well, you have X-ray vision. John just goes like, yeah, that's a good point. So he uses X-ray vision. He finds Lois's phone. He grabs it. And then as soon as he grabs it, this heat vision comes bursting through the window. The phone's destroyed. John goes like, Dad. So Superman is busting through the window after destroying the phone, and then he destroys the TV that they were playing the game on. He tells them to close their eyes, to don't look at the screens. So right now we know that Superman knows not to look at the screens. You know, that's what's spreading the virus, and he tells them no screens. Then we pick up to where Batman's in the Batcave. And, you know, he has the virus is quarantined, and he has firewalls in place, so he's looking at Gotham through in like an analog camera system, and he's just seeing it going to hell. And he asks the computer, you know, how many are affected. It tells him an estimated 600 million, and it also lets him know that at the current rate, you know, the virus is going to spread. Virus will spread, and then within days, billions are going to be infected. Batman asks the computer, you know, has the connection been disabled from the house? And it tells him no. At that point, Batman immediately activates the electromagnetic pulse, you know, an EMP, takes out all electricity in the house. Then we pop up back to the apartment of Superman and Lois, and, you know, he's telling her that he needs to assemble a league. Damian's calling Batman, but he's not answering. They're telling him, like, not to worry about him. You know, it's a super virus, can't intimidate Batman. Superman tells him that, you know, it's, you know, Damian says, you know, it looks like the end of the world, and Superman is saying, you know, it's okay. You know, Bruce will have contingencies. You know, it's not going to stop him. You know, he's going to get to you. He'll get to you, Damon. Then we pick right back up to the Wayne Manor. Batman is like screaming out for Dick and Tim and Alfred, trying to see, you know, if they've become infected. He's worried about them. Then Alfred responds, you know, yelling out, saying Master Bruce. And then we finally see that one of them has gotten infected. Nightwing is infected. Crazy. So Alfred is trying to fight him off. Bruce sees him. He goes to attack Batman. Gives him a solid left hook to the face just to knock him out of the way. Then we pop up and see that Tim has also been infected, and he comes at Batman from behind, bites his arm, and then Batman gives him a quick strike to the chin. Nightwing scrapes his face. He's yelling out to Alfred to run, get out of here. You just get out of here. Nightwing grabs him from the back and then takes a bite out of his chest and scrapes him on his chest. And now we know that is the end of Batman. Crazy. So this has, you know, this is why I said, you know, it's kind of misleading when I said that in the beginning, because Batman does not survive this story. This is the end of Batman. It is crazy. This is why I love the story. It takes out one of my favorite characters right in the first issue. It's everyone you didn't expect to die is like dying. You know, it's all going to hell. It's an awesome story, and it just gets better from here. But I hope you guys like this. You know, please leave a like and comment down below what was your favorite moment. Tell me what you like, what you didn't like, and let me know if you're gonna read it, or if you have read it and you think it's awesome as well. Tell me what else you liked about DCeased. All right, other than that, enjoy the rest of your day. Take care. Remember, peace, love, blessings, and I'm out of here, guys. Bye.